Hello everybody and welcome back to Serious Sunday. My name is Luke and I am your host, and this is the show where I talk about video games and things. And this week the piece of news that I intend to editorialize comes from none other than Ubisoft, the company that I most commonly passively aggressively criticize for their business decisions. So it's very refreshing to hear some good news from that end of the video game space. They're a very high profile developer, so it's good when they make great decisions because those kinds of things have a rippling effect across the industry. And this week, on Tuesday, November 22nd, the VP of Live Operations, a lady by the name of Anne Blondel-Jouin, whose name I most likely just butchered, has spoken to the press and made an announcement that they are no longer offering DLC that quote-unquote gamers have to buy for the full experience of playing their games. What this means to us as video game consumers is that DLC made by Ubisoft is no longer going to incorporate things like, one can assume, expansions to their games that are paid, obviously, and other things that have large and far-reaching effects on gameplay, in favor of things like, one would assume, cosmetic parts to their characters and other non-gameplay affecting things. This is good. In the past, I've been very critical of Ubisoft for their many business decisions in the realm of DLC, and most particularly their DRM decisions, because it's no secret, a detractor of the Uplay service. I've had many problems with it over the many years that I've attempted to use their products. So, what are you going to do there? But quite possibly the most egregious example of a perfect storm of bad DLC choices and bad DRM choices came in the form of quite possibly one of their more popular games, and one could argue even maybe one of their better games in Assassin's Creed 2, a game that upon release included a DRM solution that had to be always on and always connected to the internet in a single player game, as well as the infamous Bonfire of the Vanities DLC, which was stripped out of the game, or at least appeared to have been stripped out of the game in a very obvious manner when a large section of the memories of the Ezio character were literally said to have been missing and skipped over in favor of going basically straight to Rome. This was, quite frankly, a very silly decision, and a lot of people didn't really like it, myself included. I, as a matter of fact, have never even played the Bonfire of the Vanities DLC because I just didn't want to have to pay for something that was added into the game in such a manner. Now, as somebody who's worked in a publisher and has made DLC for games and has even made very similar decisions, this might seem like a hypocritical statement, but all of those things considered, it's more the presentation of the DLC in Assassin's Creed 2 that rubbed me and a very good number of other players the wrong way. But all of that said, it would appear that Ubisoft has made the decision to no longer ever make that sort of a mistake again. Who knows how long this is actually going to last, but it's good news either way for us in the short term and quite possibly the long term. My understanding is that their shift in philosophy, according to Blondel-Jouin, is that they believe that DLC now, if it's not adding on something on top of the actual experience of the game, is no good, and that if the content is compulsory for gamers, in other words, if it is cut content or content that should be added into the game for all players to enjoy and experience together, it is no longer good for them. One can assume that this business decision is informed by other major video game industry players like Microsoft and Respawn, who are doing things like offering free maps for very large profile video games like Titanfall 2 that just come out very recently, and seeing that players are very receptive to this sort of a DLC model. So it's good to see that our industry is sort of maturing in the right direction in seeing what the video game public is enjoying and facilitating that, as opposed to seeing what people are willing to pay for and pushing that envelope as far as possible. I'm a huge proponent of DLC in video games. I think that it always has the potential to add a very large amount to video games. I like expansion content. I was a huge fan of things like Borderlands 2 and all of the additional things that they added to the game, new characters, new maps, and what have you. But it's good to hear that a company is reconsidering their decisions to charge for certain things, and hopefully we're going to see a big shift of video game industry giants like Ubisoft and others like Activision and EA, very hopefully looking towards creating a more amicable DLC structure for video game consumers going into the future. What the actual major changes of their DLC structure are actually going to mean is yet to be seen, but we can only hope that at the very least we're not going to see many more major business missteps by Ubisoft in the short term. Now, if they can only just put Uplay to rest, then they're going to go right back up onto my list of favorite developers. But until then, it's at least nice to see them going in a good direction. Well, it was a short one today, but I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will join me again next time. Thank you very much for watching, as usual. If you are not yet a subscriber, please do hit that subscribe button down below or in the following end card, and I hope that I will see you again around here very soon. Thank you for dropping by, and take care.